Oh my, it's finally here. Time for an analysis. Hey guys, Akariss here. And oh boy, he's finally here. And of course, what I'm talking about is Ashnard, because it is actually the one GHB, thankfully not a Tempest Trials unit, that is finally debuted in Fire Emblem Heroes. So, wow, not exactly the version I was expecting. A little bit more angry for spoilery reasons, but nonetheless, really cool. Came with his weapon, didn't get Trevanted or Cormagged or all the other Lance Flyers at this point. It's too many to count. He's a unit, and I'm happy that's the case because I'll probably use him personally because I do like him quite a bit. So, with that being said, check the board on the left. We will cover his stats, my opinion on them, the skills, and sample builds, plus good partners for those specific builds where you'll likely use them in Ether Raids or Arena from the current meta in the game. So hopefully you guys take something from this video and enjoy. Let's jump straight into it. The fact that his weapon basically has IoT shield in it is actually really nice, and I'm very happy that's the case. With such prominent threats like Crom and Alm being both an AR and Arena, pretty much makes him stand out from most other core flyer units that you might have. So I'm very happy to see that. The secondary effect on his weapon, reducing the attack and defense of enemies, is really nice, and I definitely will cover it here in the video where I feel like that helps the most. So firstly, let's cover more like AR. What I feel like his stats really lend themselves to is either a tank build or potentially a Gale Force build. And the reason those two things work is you'll see in a moment. First, we'll jump into the Gale Force build because that might be a little bit more strange. But the reason I feel like this is pretty good is because he likely will almost never miss the attack check. And compared to a lot of other Gale Force units, you know, flyers especially, let's say like Sheeta or Claire who cheat by using Flashing Blade, but other flyers have a pretty big problem with meeting this attack check unless they have crazy high attack. The fact that he reduces the enemy attack though means that he actually has a huge advantage when it comes to heavy blade checks. He has a preference weapon with nicely, you know, the 16 attack, a very high attack stat, and access to easy to receive kind of flyer buffs like Cone Flyers, kind of packed into one. The speed, not so important, because obviously you're not really going to be doubling with him often. I'm sure it's possible if you do something weird, but the point is, he's going to win the attack checks in Heavy Blade quite often. And since his attack is so high, combine that with like a Bolt Tower snipe on, let's say, AR, he's actually going to pretty much one-shot a lot of stuff. And what this kind of does, combined with Peony, is he goes in, hits something, hit and run to move back. Peony can dance him. You know, first you smite him, first of all, obviously. The play is smite, snipe something, hit and run brings you back into Peony's dance range. And then hopefully, depending on how you engage, you might be able to hit again on another unit. Now, it is a little bit strange, and honestly, there are better options, but there is one thing to consider: its consistency when it comes to Heavy Blade, and combined with like Bolt Tower, you get some pretty easy snipes that way. You gotta, of course, consider the partner, so of course, I'll show you that in a moment, but what I'm showing here is a pretty budget build. A pretty budget build. It's only +2, 2 Dragon Flowers, and it does kind of what I think would be nice as, you know, just one way to use them. In terms of partners though, we do have Claire to start. So just nice compliment there is Claire. Of course, with flyers, you pretty much can have both of them receiving home flyers, and that's nice. Of course, she can be like Flashing Blade check. You'd want to be running basically 2 smites with air. If you're running like Air Peony, air has to have a smite and your bonus unit has to smite. And then you have Claire and Ashnard going in there and peony dancing, let's say Ashnard, to make sure he procs his Gale Force, because to get Claire to do it, she needs to take a retaliation hit. So essentially, you got to make sure that she engages on a melee unit, while Ashnard can probably snipe some range units. It's a very strange strategy, but I think it could work, and I would recommend it if you already have something like Claire invested, or thinking of maybe just investing pretty budget into Ashnard. Now, if you go all the way, he does actually have quite a nice stat spread, even being able to enemy phase likely. Heavy Blade 4 almost guaranteeing the kill, along with his weapon lowering defenses, attacks, giving that consistency there. So I'm a fan of this. I think it could work, and I definitely will give it some try. If you guys want to watch it, it would be on the Twitch stream, so give that a go. I'm definitely going to be giving it a go myself. Moving forward though, we do have probably what most people see his stat spread as right away, which is like a tank build. Now I've included a budget on the left here, and the budget build is basically just vantaging, fierce stancing, and getting a lot of one-shots with defense smoke. This is more of like, I'll smite him into ether raids, I'll just snipe a frontline unit, and then just enter in the rest of the team, and low defense units pretty much just die to vantage, and those that don't, well, he probably can take a hit or two. He will have some trouble though, I will admit. I mean, you need to really buff those stats. Thankfully, the only hard things to soak here are pretty much chill attack and chill defense, and the Bright and Dark Shrines are not that difficult to worry about. You can actually make stuff like Altina or Naga soak chill, like the Bright Shrine, and Altina soak the Dark Shrine if you were to build them properly. I won't showcase that here because that really just depends on how many merges and flowers and fodder available, but basically it's possible, especially at a budget build. Obviously his best partners for this will pretty much be Brave Lucina, should you go for a distance end turn, so that would require more of like a noontime max invested build like this, shown on the left of course, where Lancina gives him consistent healing. He's got, you know, a really nice stat spread. Lancina has no problem soaking Bright Shrine because she has a lot of speed, but the chill attack again is a problem, and you're likely going to have to get Naga to do that one. Finally, the other partner you definitely should consider is Camilla, of course. Now, this is likely only possible with very high investment Camillas, but if you have a plus attack Camilla, Life and Death 4 is like super high investment as well. You can actually make her soak chill attack and chill speed from him from one partner. So if your Naga is incapable of doing this, Camilla definitely can, and Camilla has Camilla's Axe, Goad Flyers, super nice support. Seal is awkward, but it is required because having your tanks get hit by chill attack is a big no-no. Being red is a huge advantage for Ashnard, I feel, because the current defense mythics are not blue. Because they're not blue, he stands to be in a pretty good spot. The most common like blue threats you'll really worry about with Ashnard would pretty much be Julia, maybe Ulm, depends on the build, and Ophelia, possibly Reinhardt. But considering his weapon really lowers defenses, and you can use stuff like Goad and Ward Flyers on the team, he will become very strong. I mean, like in the 80 attacks easily, defense is easily in the 60s, 70s, and res will be a respectable 50s. So like with the proper stats being supported to him with, you know, units like this, he will be very good. So again, I don't necessarily recommend him. There are better options, but the fact that he has an open seal because his weapon gives him IOTs, and the fact that he can be supported through Goad and Ward Flyer stacking, which I have used plenty in the past before, you know, using HS Camilla definitely, and Air and such in previous metas and videos, of course, I've covered this. Ashnard stands out because he doesn't waste a seal slot on IOTs, which is huge. Going forward though, and probably what I think most people might really see from Ashnard would be a arena build. And this one's a given. I mean, again, doesn't waste IOTs, doesn't need IOTs. Similar to maybe like Mini Minerva. Mini Minerva has like a preference skill and has a preference weapon, so she doesn't even need a 300 SP skill and anything else to work, which was a huge advantage to her. So Mini Minerva being like green and Ashnard being red, but Mini Minerva taking 2700 grails, where Ashnard only takes like 1700 if you wait for the rerun. If you don't, he's still 2200, which is still better than Mini Minerva. The fact that he's a flyer means you give him guidance, you give him aerobatics. He already comes with a wave skill. Not a huge fan of it, but you know, it can be nice, and the mobility is always huge in something like Arena. When you run into like double bridge maps, you run into lava maps, it's nice to have a flyer as part of that Arena core. So if you wanted to, he scores decently. He reaches the 170 BST bin, which is good because that means he has an open A slot that's not restricted to like our dual flying. Less fodder, you pretty much give him anything. I've given distant counter here, which on Fire Season lined up would basically be one-shotting Celica, and I believe Hector as well. Like there's some green units there. I think Edelgard is there as well. So he has a very good matchup spread in Fire Season. If you had a Fire core, that would be definitely a good place to put him. Guidance, support, aerobatics, also really nice to enable all that mobility. With that being said, though, I think this is more or less like a passion project for you guys. I wouldn't really put him as like a must-have. You know, if you wanted someone who scores better, we have Flame Emperor at the cost of being a armor, which sucks, or Itsuki or Astrum, which again have like dragon slaying buffs and higher score, so they do reach 175. And again, they also work in Fire Season. They just don't have the mobility or support. Kind of. I mean, Ashnard, for instance, has buffs, and Itsuki has dragon slaying, and you know, they both have speed. Ashnard doesn't have speed. You're pretty much going to be relying on like one-shotting things or stalling it out, and that could be detrimental when you have range units in the back who line up and snipe him. So, not the greatest, but he's cool, he's not bad, and if you feel like you need a red flyer, there's not that many. Realistically, it's like Pala and Sheeta in 3 and 4 star pool. It's nice to have something else, and in AR he might not be the greatest choice, but at least he can work. I gotta admit, he's not Cormag, he's not Trevant, so we should be happy that he's not bad, okay? He's usable, and that's cool. So, thanks guys for watching. I hope you guys took something out of this. I hope you enjoyed. Give a like, comment down below what you think of this. Are there any other future like villains left in Heroes or the Fire Emblem universe that you'd really like to see to Heroes? I personally, this was what I was waiting for, so that's cool for me. Subscribe if you haven't already, and thank you for watching as always, guys. Much love. Peace.